going to keep it audio only meeting today. I'm so sorry for that. The main reason being the internet still continues to be a problem. I couldn't take a meeting yesterday, but today I decided to go with mobile data. And with the mobile data, it will not be easy. A second, let me just, yeah. It will not be easy to go live on YouTube as well as video. We need to just curtail the bandwidth, adjust with the bandwidth available through mobile data. So guys, hello and welcome back. All of us have gone through moments where you either disliked, disapproved of, got upset, irritated, angry, or even terribly hated someone. And that can include you too. At times, we find it difficult to accept ourselves. At times, we find it very difficult to forgive ourselves for certain things that we have done and we think that we shouldn't have done. So there are two things. We have done something and we think that we haven't done, and at times we haven't done certain things and we then regret and even feel guilty that we should have done and we did not do. So for example, feeling guilty that you didn't study enough for exams, though it is regret, but it can also be so severe that you can even feel guilty and punish yourself. Or I did not look after my children well and I should have done it, and I was somewhere else when I was supposed to be with my child. And this can add to your guilt. So there are so many guilts we harbor, and we constantly remain in guilt. The interesting part is people who are outright criminals, seldom feel guilty. Most of them are justified in doing what they did, even though they've been punished legally. And common people who are highly conscientious and full of integrity can feel guilty over trivials. Oh, I gave this work to my maid and she missed her last bus, so she had to walk all the way home. Or, oh, I forgot to offer water to the guests. Poor thing, they would have gone home without even water. They would have felt so thirsty, being such a difficult summertime. And you could feel guilty for days together over things like this. And many of you would be able to relate to what I'm saying. Now, why does one feel guilty? There are several reasons why we choose to feel guilty. One is the training part of it, right from the childhood. Our parents have taught us this, right? To say sorry. Say sorry. You don't want to say sorry. You don't even feel like, you don't even think that you should be saying sorry. And when you're children, you don't even know whether you've done something wrong. What big deal? And yet you are forced to say sorry. Indirectly, you feel forced to feel guilty about things which you don't even know was wrong ever. So at times you might be even justified. At times you might be even wondering what's the big deal about all this. And yet you've learned to say sorry, and then feeling sorry becomes a way of life over a period of time. Second reason is high level of expectations from others and for yourself, from yourself. So that's when comes either the guilt or hatred for others. And that's when comes the need to forgive yourself or others. But where does this expectation come from? Of course, they come from the social norms, social beliefs, education. People often create a set of expectations and we borrow them, we buy them, and we own them up. without even realizing that what you feel guilty about or what you hate in others could be the norm in other parts of the society or other cultures. And it's okay. It's not a big deal. And third is need for suffering. So a lot of people take a lot of pride in suffering, and the way to suffer is through guilt. So when you feel guilty, you naturally invite suffering and made yourself suffer. And some of the people consciously punish themselves by fasting, hurting themselves, banging their head against the wall, hitting themselves, depriving them of the pleasures of life. And it goes on and on. And same thing, we do it to others. When you have a need to punish, this comes essentially from the cultural beliefs, the way you were parented. So if you were punished over trivial mistakes, if you were made to suffer because of something that you did wrong by authority figures, your parents, your teachers, now you know that it is important to be punished, it's important to suffer so that you never do anything wrong again, so that you always remain Miss or Mr. Right. And that is also the case when you make others suffer. So, how your mistakes were handled by your parents, your teachers, and your culture influences a lot on how you handle your or others' mistakes. So, you think that you're suffering because of guilt. Sometimes the suffering is itself is a need. Interesting, isn't it? Why would somebody want to suffer? I've seen a lot of people on the path of spiritual growth choose to suffer. And how would they suffer? They manifest some other the guilt. And how do they manifest the guilt? They manifest some or the other wrongdoing. And how do they manifest that? By having very high standard of morals and expectations. So this is, in a cliched word, I would say modus operandi for spiritual growth for a lot of people. So they have a very high standard and high expectations from themselves and others, and they expect a lot, which obviously does not work, and they do fall short of their expectations or others, conduct, and then they feel angry or guilty. And if they feel angry, they again feel guilty for feeling angry. So eventually, the self punishment, suffering, and through suffering, spiritual growth. A lot of people have beliefs that if you suffer, you're closest to God. So you need to suffer to be close to God, because if you're happy, you will never think of God. So, to continue thinking about God, you continue suffering. And you borrow such beliefs from various factors, and it could be different for different people, but you've borrowed it. And it becomes a part of certain cultures, and you don't even realize that it may not be the truth, because you can spiritually grow without suffering. And there are a lot of people. Only thing, people who grow with suffering become martyrs and sometimes heroes and heroines, because the world remembers them through their gory stories. So eventually, you start associating spirituality with suffering and suffering with guilt. And hence, there's a need to forgive. So, a lot of people, even if they want to forgive, they can't forgive because of several reasons. One is fear of forgiving. What if I make a mistake? What if others make a mistake? Fear of looking small. If I forgive, that means I'm weak, I'm small, I'm not good enough. Fear of reputation, of the same mistakes, and of course, deep need to continue suffering. And these are the reasons, even if somebody wants to forgive, they won't forgive either themselves or others. The good news is that behind every suffering, there is some brilliance. Behind every guilt, there is some brilliance. So at times, there is a hidden gift for you through your guilt. And let me tell you, because I'm coming from a healing profession as a homeopath and regression therapist, as well as the spiritual teacher or the teacher of inner transformation, I've come across so many people who have a tendency to continue feeling guilty. And when they continue feeling guilty, they're perpetually in the loop of suffering. And without realizing, they're constantly inviting guilt. And to invite that guilt, they're constantly making some other the mistakes. And the life is a series of sufferings, troubles, problems. Of course, it's quite possible that because I am in such a profession, I do invite people to go through all these sufferings. And it's obvious that I'm going to meet that section of the society, isn't it? And yet, I almost always wondered, why does one have to go through all these dramas? Can't we simplify? Can't we ease our life? Can't we just catch hold of the brilliance? So let's say, apart from the spiritual growth, what could be the brilliance in your guilt? So now I invite the volunteers who can raise their hands, and I will invite one person at a time till the time the time allows, and I will give you the reading and also help you interpret that. This reading is based on multi-chakra intelligence of radical, and that intelligence will tell you how you can discover the brilliance in your guilt. Yes, Shruti. Is there something you want to say, or straight I go? Is there a particular guilt?
Straight. No, ma'am.
Okay. Fix your attention on a particular guilt, and I will tell you what is the brilliance in that guilt. Yeah, I'm muting you because there is a background sound. You can unmute as in when you want to speak, right? I'm asking you to unmute, but don't do it right now, only when you need to speak, Shruti, okay? All right. So have you fixed your attention on that guilt?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just checking the brilliance. Shruti, the ultimate reward for you in a given situation is an openness to total acceptance of the ongoing change process. Okay, so your guilt is eventually teaching you to accept all the changes which are happening on an ongoing basis around you, in you. And you've got to accept. The faster you accept, the lesser is the need to feel guilty. Does that resonate, Shruti?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, if you would like to read further, and this is FLL20, consistent flexibility in opening up chakra. Okay.
Okay.
Let's see Snigdha now. Okay. Snigdha, anything you would like to say, or straight I go for readings?
Straight for the reading, ma'am.
All right. Fix your attention on a particular guilt, huh? Snigdha, you're being asked to discover your ability to seek what you wish and get attention to your wishes in a constructive way. So, if you start getting attention in a constructive way, you don't have to do things that will make you feel guilty eventually. Okay? And remain open to, first of all, seek and get it in a constructive way. So, subconsciously, you may end up doing things to get that, especially attention, which may not be very constructive. And then you'll feel guilty because you know you've manifested it at some level. Yeah, so stop playing that game. This is how you can overcome the guilt. Does that resonate, dear?
Yes, ma'am. I have to. I think so, ma'am. Yes.
You think so? Think about it. If you still doesn't, then I can give you a little more explanation.
Okay, ma'am. I think it's yeah. I think it does resonate. If there is time, if time allows, then slightly more clarity will.
Yeah, I will. I realize from your expression. Just checking. Give me one more hint. Or give me a little more clarity, okay? Yeah. Bring neutrality towards irritants through radical techniques. So guilty about being irritated. Okay, and yeah, you would be, mainly, why did you get irritated? Interestingly, every time I work with the irritation, I realize that there is a deep layer of guilt. Okay, so for example, if you're irritated with dirty things, essentially you're guilty that things are dirty. And you have kept it dirty and you couldn't do anything. Okay, or you haven't done the needful, and that's why. So, okay, but all these games eventually gives you something. Okay, you're seeking something, so be clear about what you're seeking and make sure that you definitely feel the need to get what you want in a constructive way and not through your
Yeah.
irritation. Got it now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. So for people, if we can, this looks like some irritation and a little drama, some anger. She'll get attention, things may get done, but that will make her feel guilty that, oh, I, got irritated. I shouldn't have spoiled moods, and so on and so forth. But this could have happened in a more constructive way had she learned the art of seeking and asking for what she wants in a constructive way and getting attention to her needs in a constructive way. And this is how you can stop feeling guilty further. Okay, Divya. Just a sec, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Divya, do you have a particular thing in mind, like a particular factor for which you felt guilty or feeling guilty?
Yes, yes.
All right. Divya, the ultimate gift for you in a given setup is your ability to welcome fresh, new challenge changes with joy and grace. So your guilt could be around not being able to accept a few things. All right. And it's not that you're not accepting, but probably not with joy and grace. It's more like a reluctant person who will give in and then
Yeah.
feeling guilty or objecting something. Does that match, or do you need clarity?
I little bit clarity would help.
Okay, let me give one more. Left neutral observation chakra, reminder to be a neutral observer to inconsistencies and inner environment. So this is mainly a guilt towards your own shadow self. Okay, so there is something which you feel you shouldn't have been. No,
Yes.
your darker part. You may or may not be aware, but at subconscious level, you know that that exists. Now, how does that become dark? Because you're facing the light. Only when you face the light, you cast a shadow,
Yeah.
right? And then you get upset. But if you start illuminating from within, there's no question of shadow. Now, that's very theoretical. Essentially, you have certain expectations from you which doesn't get met, and then you feel guilty. But if you can open up to accept and embrace all that you are, you will not feel guilty. It's okay. This is how you are.
Yeah.
Does that
It
help?
it helps. It really helps.
All right. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so this would be the last. Aparna usually comes for the tutorial. Aparna, you're going to be there. We'll just do that if you don't mind. Okay, my internet guys are here, and let me get the Wi-Fi set for correctly, and I'll see you tomorrow again. And thank you so much. People who have already participated in level 3 onwards, feel free to join me at 5:30 through premium membership link. If you're not yet a premium member, and if you want to or wish to, just connect to one of the admin staffs and they will guide you and help you further. Have a great evening and see you tomorrow, same time, 5 p.m. India time.